32, find the area and length of each diagonal of a square whose perimeter is 20 feet. So we want to find the area of the square and we want to find the length of each diagonal of the square. So we want to find two things. So number 32, we know the square has a perimeter of 20 feet. Sometimes it helps to sketch these things. You don't have to, because you can probably think through this. The square has a perimeter of 20 feet. We would want to divide that by 4 to find each side. So each side of this square is 5 feet. And that's easy enough now to find the area. So area is the side squared. So 5 feet squared. So the area of the square is 25 feet squared. Also, we want to find the length of the diagonal. Length of the diagonal, there's probably a couple different routes we could take here. I think the easiest is going to be to realize we have a 45, 45, 90. And in a 45, 45, 90, so let's call this D for diagonal, it's that D is the hypotenuse. We know that the hypotenuse equals a leg times the square root of 2. And so in this case, D, the hypotenuse, which is the hypotenuse, equals the leg, which is 25, wrong, which is 5 feet, times the square root of 2. And so we write this as 5 to the square root of 2 feet. So we found the area and we found the diagonal. All right, 33. Find the perimeter and area of a square if a diagonal measures 8 centimeters. Okay, again, it might help to draw it. So this time we want to find perimeter and area if we know this length is 8 centimeters. Again, there's a couple ways to do this. Maybe this way is a little unorthodox, but I think it's the quickest. A square is a rhombus. So we know the area of a rhombus is 1/2 diagonal 1 times diagonal 2. So in this case, both diagonals is a square, so the diagonals are equal. And so the area of this square is 1/2 of 8 is 4 times 8 is 32. So this is 32 centimeters squared. Probably is the quickest way to find that. Once we know the area, the perimeter is the length of the side. So because we're supposed to find perimeter and area. So we found the area. Let's find a side length. Well, if the area is 32, let me write this in here. We're going to use a different thing. Area of a square is side squared. So this is s squared. 32 is s squared. Take the square root of both sides, and we get the square root of 32. We can simplify that because that's the square root of 16 times the square root of 2. So a side is 4 root 2 centimeters. They didn't ask for that, but we needed that to help us because the perimeter is 4, because there's 4 sides. So 4 of them times 4 root 2. And so the perimeter is 16 times the square root of 2 centimeters. So we found the perimeter and we found the area. The other way, and maybe what they were trying to get at, would be to know this is a 45, 45, 90. And in a 45, 45, 90, you know the hypotenuse is equal to a leg, which is one of the side lengths, times the square root of 2. So 8 equals s root 2. Divide both sides by root 2. So we have s equals 8 over root 2. Well, having a square root in the denominator is not allowed, so you can multiply top and bottom by the square root of 2 over the square root of 2. And we get s equals 8 root 2 over 2. These reduce. So a side length is 4 times the square root of 2. And once you know that, you can find the perimeter. So if every side length is 4 root 2, you can multiply that by 4 to find the perimeter of the square, which we actually have already done. So the perimeter is 16 root 2 centimeters, and the area is the side length squared. So when you square this, you have to be careful. It's 4 root 2 times 4 root 2. Just make sure you do it right. Don't see these a lot, probably in geometry. So 4 times 4 is 16. Root 2 times root 2 is simply 2, and so our area is 32 centimeters squared. Again, we found both of those things earlier, but there's a couple different approaches we can take.